I opened my door at 11:47 p.m. and froze. My mother stood there, trembling, mascara streaked down her face like black rivers. Her voice came out in a broken whisper. "Myra, please, let me in." Behind her stood a man I recognized from news alerts I'd been avoiding for weeks. My stomach dropped hard. Her new husband. His fist was still bloodied, knuckles scraped raw. He looked at me with cold, calculating eyes. I hadn't spoken to my mother in 6 months. Not since the night she told me I was an embarrassment. Not since she told me to fix my life before I dared contact her again. Now here she was, shaking on my doorstep at midnight like a stranger begging for shelter. My hands tightened on the door frame. Every muscle in my body screamed to slam it shut. She had nowhere else to go. That much was clear from the desperation in her eyes. But why should that be my problem? He stepped forward, voice smooth and rehearsed. "She has nowhere else to go." My name is Mira Dalton. I'm 28 years old, and I work as a planning analyst for a logistics company in the city. I live alone in a small but clean apartment I saved for months to afford. It's not much, but it's mine. Every piece of furniture, every plate, every quiet evening belongs only to me. 6 months ago, my mother told me I was dragging the family down. She said my constant struggles were exhausting. She said I needed to fix my life before I had the right to call her again. Then she hung up. No goodbye, no second thought, just silence. I haven't heard her voice since that night. Not on my birthday, not during the holidays, not even when I lost my job and thought I might lose my apartment too. She was gone, living her new perfect life with her new perfect husband. And now she stood at my door, broken and desperate, asking me to save her. I looked at her tear-streaked face and felt nothing but cold, hard clarity. "You can't come inside," I said. Her face crumpled. She started sobbing. The phone call happened on a Tuesday night. I remember because I had just gotten home from another failed job interview. My hands were shaking as I scrolled through rejection emails. When her name flashed on my screen, I felt relieved. Maybe she was checking on me. Maybe she cared. "Mom," I answered, voice hopeful. "Myra," her tone was cold, rehearsed, like she'd been practicing what to say. "I need you to stop calling me." My heart stopped. "What?" "You're always struggling," she continued, her voice dripping with superiority. "Always complaining, always negative. You drag the entire family down with your problems. I can't keep doing this." I tried to speak, but my throat closed. "Fix your life," she said firmly. "Get yourself together, then maybe you can call me again. But until then, I need space from your chaos." The line went dead. I sat there in the dark, staring at my phone, waiting for her to call back and say she didn't mean it. She never did. I broke down that night, alone in my tiny apartment, realizing I truly had no one. 2 weeks after the call, my younger sister posted pictures on social media. She was smiling wide, standing beside our mother and a man I didn't recognize. The caption read, "So grateful for new beginnings and the family that lifts me up." I stared at the photo. Our mother looked happier than I'd ever seen her, radiant, glowing. She wore expensive jewelry I knew she couldn't afford on her own. The man beside her was polished, confident, and clearly wealthy. The comments section exploded with congratulations. I scrolled through more posts. Fancy dinners, designer handbags, vacation photos. My mother had moved on to a better life and I wasn't part of it. My sister had replaced me without hesitation. Then a message arrived from her. "Myra, it's for the best. You're too negative. Mom's finally happy. Let her be." I stared at those words until they blurred. My own sister had cut me out too. I was the problem, the failure, the one who didn't deserve to be part of their happiness. I deleted the message and closed the app. 3 weeks later, I lost my job. Budget cuts, they said. Nothing personal, but it felt personal. Everything felt personal. My landlord sent an eviction notice. Rent was 2 weeks late. I had $87 in my account and no prospects. Panic attacks hit me at night. I'd wake up gasping, my mother's voice echoing in my head. "Fix your life, fix your life, fix your life." My chest felt tight all the time. My hands trembled when I tried to fill out job applications. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I felt like I was drowning in a dark ocean with no shore in sight. One night, I sat on my apartment floor surrounded by bills I couldn't pay. I stared at my phone, my mother's contact still saved. One call. That's all it would take, but her words replayed like a curse. You drag the family down. I decided that night I would rise. Not for her, not to prove anything to her, but because I refused to let her words define me. I would build a life she never believed I could have, and I would do it without them. I landed a job 2 weeks later. Office support at a logistics company. It wasn't glamorous. I answered phones, filed paperwork, organized schedules, but it was stable. It was income. It was hope. I worked quietly, observed everything, and learned fast. I noticed inefficiencies in scheduling. I saw gaps in communication between departments. I started making small suggestions to my supervisor. She listened. Then she started asking for my input more often. My confidence returned slowly, like blood flowing back into a numb limb. I wasn't drowning anymore. I was treading water, then swimming, then moving forward with purpose. 3 months in, my boss called me into her office. I braced myself for bad news. Instead, she smiled. "Myra, we'd like to offer you a promotion. Planning analyst. You've earned it." I sat there, stunned. My hands didn't shake. My chest didn't tighten. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. I accepted immediately. That afternoon, I looked at apartments I could actually afford now. Small victories. The promotion changed everything. I wasn't just surviving anymore, I was building. My paychecks increased. My responsibilities expanded. People respected my ideas. I felt capable, valuable, seen. 6 months after my mother cut me off, I signed a lease on a new apartment. It was small but clean, with big windows that let in morning light. I furnished it slowly, piece by piece, with money I earned myself. Every item meant something. Every corner felt like freedom. I started journaling again, cooking real meals, going for walks without feeling like I was suffocating. My life wasn't perfect, but it was mine, fully, completely mine. One evening, I sat on my small couch with a mug of tea and realized I hadn't thought about my mother in days. The wound was still there, but it wasn't bleeding anymore. I was healing without her apology, without her acknowledgement, without her at all. I didn't need her to see my success. I just needed to live it. Then my phone buzzed. A text notification. I glanced at the screen and froze. My mother's social media was a highlight reel of wealth and happiness. Expensive restaurants, designer clothes, jewelry that sparkled under perfect lighting. Every photo showed her glowing beside her new husband, a man the captions called a community investor and philanthropist. One post read, "Finally, I have peace. Grateful for second chances and the people who lift me higher." I stared at that caption longer than I should have. She had peace, without me, because I was gone. The comments praised her. "You deserve this. Such a beautiful couple. Blessings on blessings." But then I noticed other comments, quieter ones, questions buried beneath the praise. "Isn't he under investigation? I heard there are financial discrepancies. Be careful." I scrolled past them. It wasn't my business anymore. She made sure of that. Another post appeared days later, a photo of a lake house. The caption read, "New chapter, new home. Dreams really do come true." My sister commented with heart emojis. My mother replied, "Love you, sweetheart." I closed the app and went back to my real life. News alerts started appearing on my phone. Articles about financial discrepancies linked to community development funds. Names I vaguely recognized. Investigations into misappropriated money. Fraud allegations. I scrolled past them without reading the details. It didn't concern me. My mother's world wasn't mine anymore. But one name kept appearing. The same name from her social media posts. Her husband, the community investor, the philanthropist, the man with the bloodied fist who would show up at my door months later. I ignored it all. I had work deadlines. I had groceries to buy. I had a life that didn't include scandal or chaos or her. Then the group text came through. My mother, my sister, a few relatives I barely spoke to. The message was from her. Exciting news! We just closed on the most beautiful lake house. Can't wait to host everyone this summer. My sister replied instantly. So happy for you, Mom. You deserve everything. I muted the thread and deleted the notification. Summer came and went. I was never invited. My life became peaceful in a way I didn't know was possible. I woke up without dread. I worked without panic. I came home to silence that felt safe instead of suffocating. I started journaling every morning. Small gratitudes, goals, reflections. I cooked meals that weren't instant noodles. I decorated my apartment with plants and art I actually liked. I existed without performance, without approval, without her voice in my head telling me I wasn't enough. One evening, I stood in my kitchen making dinner and realized I was humming. Just humming. No reason, no audience, just quiet contentment. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Ms. Dalton, a man's voice, official and clipped. This is Detective Armstrong. I'm calling regarding a financial investigation. Your mother's name has come up in our records. We may need to verify some information with you in the coming weeks. My stomach dropped. I haven't spoken to my mother in months. Understood. Just keep your phone on. She might try to contact you soon. He hung up. I stood there, dinner forgotten, staring at the wall. Whispers started spreading. People who knew my mother began talking. I heard it secondhand through distant relatives who still had me on social media. Her husband was yelling at her in public, screaming about money, about investigations, about blame. My sister's posts became less frequent. The glamorous photos stopped. The captions about blessings disappeared. Something was cracking beneath the surface of their perfect life. I didn't reach out. I didn't ask questions. I owed them nothing. Not my concern, not my energy, not my peace. Then my phone rang. My mother's number. The first time in 6 months. My heart pounded as I stared at the screen. Every instinct screamed to answer, to hear her voice, to know if she needed me. I declined the call. My hands shook, but I didn't regret it. She made her choice. I made mine. She called again an hour later. I declined again. Then a voicemail appeared. I didn't listen to it. I deleted it without hesitation. 2 days later, another call. Another decline. Another deleted voicemail. I wasn't cruel. I was surviving. The blocked calls started appearing almost daily. Different numbers. Always the same pattern. 3 rings. Voicemail. Desperate messages I refused to hear. One night, a text came through from a number I didn't recognize. Please, Myra. It's your mother. Just pick up. I need to talk to you. I stared at the message. My chest tightened. My hands trembled. Part of me wanted to respond, to ask what was wrong, to be the daughter she never let me be. I didn't reply. I blocked the number. The next evening, my phone rang again. This time it was my neighbor, Mrs. Chen, who lived 2 floors down. Myra, honey, there's a woman crying outside your building. She says she's your mother. Should I call someone? My blood went cold. No, don't call anyone. I'll handle it. I hung up and stood frozen in my apartment. She was here, outside, crying, waiting for me. I grabbed my keys and walked down the hallway, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might crack my ribs. I pushed open the building door and stepped into the cold night air. And there she was. She looked smaller than I remembered, disheveled, mascara smeared, hair unwashed. She was sitting on the curb, arms wrapped around herself, shaking. When she saw me, she stood up fast, stumbling. Myra, oh, thank God. I've been trying to reach you for days. I stayed on the top step, keeping distance between us. What do you want? I need help, her voice cracked. Please, he ruined everything. He's dangerous. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. Behind her, a car door opened. He stepped out, her husband, the community investor, the man whose face I'd seen on news alerts about fraud. His hands were clenched, his jaw was tight. She begged me not to leave her, he said, voice cold. But she has nowhere to go, thought maybe her daughter would show some mercy. My mother turned to him, panicked. Don't, please." I looked at her, really looked. Her desperation was real. Her fear was real. But so was mine. So was the memory of her voice telling me I was an embarrassment, telling me to fix my life before I called her. "Why are you here?" I asked quietly. "You told me not to call you until I fixed my life." Her face crumpled. She started sobbing harder. "They followed me into the building lobby. I didn't invite them upstairs. I stood near the mailboxes, arms crossed, while my mother poured out her confession. He forged my signature," she whispered, voice shaking. "Took out loans in my name, used my accounts. I didn't know until the investigators showed up. Everything's frozen. The house, the cars, everything." Her husband leaned against the wall, smirking. "She knew enough. She spent the money." "I didn't know it was stolen," she screamed at him. He laughed. "You didn't ask questions, that's the same thing." I watched them, detached, like I was watching a movie I'd already seen the ending to. "Your sister ran off," my mother continued, tears streaming. "She won't answer my calls. I have no one. The lawyers say I might go to prison if I can't prove I didn't know. Myra, please, you're all I have left." Her husband snorted. "The daughter you threw away. Real smart plan." She ignored him, stepping closer to me. "I know I hurt you. I know I was wrong. But I'm your mother. You can't just leave me out here." I felt the old wound try to reopen. The instinct to help, to fix, to save her because that's what daughters do. Then I remembered her voice on the phone. Cold, rehearsed. "You dragged the family down." My voice came out calm, ice cold, strategic. "You can't stay with me." Her eyes went wide. "Myra, please. You told me I was an embarrassment. You told me to fix my life. You cut me off when I needed you most. You replaced me with a new family and didn't look back." "I made a mistake," she sobbed. "I was wrong, I see that now." "You see it now because you need something from me." My voice didn't shake. "Not because you care, not because you realized you hurt me, because you're desperate." Her husband pushed off the wall. "This is a waste of time. Let's go." She grabbed my arm. "Myra, if you turn me away, I'll lose everything. I'll have nothing." I looked down at her hand on my sleeve. Slowly, I pulled my arm back. "You already have nothing. You made sure of that when you threw me away." Her face twisted, rage mixed with disbelief. "You're really going to do this? You're really going to leave your own mother on the street?" "You left me first," I said quietly. "Now you know how it feels." She dropped to her knees right there in the lobby, sobbing so loud it echoed off the tile floor. "Please, I'm begging you." I stepped around her and walked toward the stairs. I didn't look back. Detective Armstrong called me the next morning. "Ms. Dalton, we need to verify your mother's whereabouts over the past 6 months." "She wasn't with me," I answered immediately. "We haven't had contact." "Good," he said, his tone softening. "Keep it that way. She's under investigation along with her husband. We don't have enough to charge her yet, but associating with her right now could complicate your life." "Understood." "For what it's worth," he added, "you're handling this well. A lot of people would have let family manipulate them into getting involved. You're smart to keep your distance." When the call ended, I sat on my couch and stared at the wall. I thought I'd feel guilty. I thought the weight of turning her away would crush me. Instead, I felt lighter, free, like I'd finally put down a backpack full of rocks I'd been carrying for years. My phone buzzed with a text from my mother. "Please, just talk to me." I deleted it without reading it twice. Then I blocked her number permanently. The news broke slowly, then all at once. Her husband's assets were frozen. Federal investigators raided the lake house. Partners in his investment schemes turned on him, providing evidence to save themselves. Bank accounts were seized. Properties were taken. Everything my mother had posted about the jewelry, the vacations, the perfect life, disappeared like smoke. Articles detailed his crimes: fraud, money laundering, embezzlement of community development funds meant for low-income housing. The scope was massive. Millions of dollars, dozens of victims. And through it all, my mother's name appeared in the reports. Not as a criminal, not yet, but as someone who benefited. Someone who spent the money, someone who might have known. Her husband started blaming her publicly, in court filings, in interviews. She pressured me to maintain a lifestyle we couldn't afford. She knew where the money came from. She released a statement denying everything, but the damage was done, her perfect image shattered. Then my phone rang, her number. I'd blocked it, but she was calling from a new one. It rang and rang until voicemail picked up. "Myra," her voice cracked through the message. "I'm losing everything. Please, I need you." I deleted it immediately. The voicemails kept coming. Different numbers, always the same desperation. "You're my daughter. You're supposed to help me. You're heartless, just like your father. This is your chance to prove you're not a failure, to prove you're better than I thought." Each message tried a different tactic. Guilt, anger, manipulation. She cycled through every tool she'd ever used to control me. But I wasn't the same person she'd thrown away 6 months ago. I'd rebuilt myself from nothing. I'd learned to stand without her approval, without her voice in my head. I listened to one message all the way through, just one. Her voice was raw, broken. "I know I hurt you. I know I don't deserve your help, but I'm your mother. Doesn't that mean anything?" It did mean something, once, but meaning isn't the same as obligation. I deleted the message and turned off my phone. The next day, my boss called me into her office. "Myra, we're expanding the planning department. We'd like to offer you a senior analyst position, significant raise, your own team." I accepted before she finished the sentence. I moved into a new apartment 3 weeks later. 2 bedrooms, top floor, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. It cost more than I ever thought I'd be able to afford, but my promotion made it possible. I furnished it slowly, carefully, with furniture I actually wanted. Not hand-me-downs, not cheap replacements, real pieces that made the space feel like home. I bought new clothes, professional, tailored, confidence. I started running in the mornings, eating better, sleeping through the night without panic attacks. My life wasn't just stable anymore. It was thriving, and I built every single piece of it myself. One Saturday, I was grocery shopping when I saw her, my mother. She was standing near the discount bread section, looking exhausted. Her clothes were wrinkled. Her hair hadn't been washed in days. She was living in a motel 2 blocks from my old apartment. Our eyes met across the aisle. She opened her mouth to speak. I turned and walked away without a word. She didn't follow me. She knew better. The collapse of my mother's world was absolute. She lost her job when news of the investigation went public. Her sister refused to let her stay. Friends stopped answering her calls. Her husband publicly blamed her at every hearing, painting her as a manipulative woman who pressured him into crime. The media ate it up. Headlines called her a gold digger, a co-conspirator, a woman who destroyed a good man. None of it was entirely true, but none of it was entirely false either. She'd lived in willful ignorance, enjoying the money without asking where it came from, and now she was paying the price. My sister surfaced briefly to give an interview. "I had no idea what was happening. I trusted my mother and her husband. I'm heartbroken." Then she disappeared again, protecting herself. One afternoon, I was walking to my car after work when I heard someone screaming my name. I turned. My mother was running toward me, face wild, voice cracking. "This is your fault," she screamed, loud enough for everyone on the street to hear. "You could have helped me, you could have saved me, but you're selfish, just like I always said." People stopped and stared. I stood completely still, calm, unmoved. She kept screaming until security approached. Then she ran. I got in my car and drove home without shaking. That night I sat in my apartment and felt nothing. No anger, no pain, no guilt, just clarity. For years I'd believed my mother's words, that I was the problem, that I dragged people down, that I needed to fix myself before I deserved love. But the truth was simpler. She was cruel, she was selfish, and she only wanted me when I was useful. I realized something that night. I would never heal as long as I stayed emotionally connected to her. As long as I left the door open, even a crack, she would try to crawl back in. Not because she loved me, but because she needed something. I picked up my phone and opened her. I stared at her name for a long time, then I blocked it. Permanently, on every platform, every app, every possible way she could reach me. I deleted old photos, old messages, every digital trace of the relationship I'd clung to for so long. When I finished, I felt lighter than I'd ever felt in my life. Free, untethered, finally completely mine. Her husband was arrested 3 weeks later. Federal charges, fraud, conspiracy, money laundering. The trial would take months, but the evidence was overwhelming. I watched the news coverage silently, his face on every channel, investigators leading him out of a courthouse in handcuffs, reporters shouting questions he refused to answer. My mother wasn't charged. The prosecutors determined she didn't have enough direct involvement to pursue criminal charges. But civil suits were coming. Victims wanted their money back, and she'd spent plenty of it. She would lose everything she had left, but she wouldn't go to prison, a small mercy she didn't deserve. A reporter approached me outside my office one afternoon. "Ms. Dalton, you're the daughter, correct? Would you like to comment on your mother's involvement?" I looked directly into the camera. I haven't spoken to my mother in over a year. Her choices are not my responsibility. The clip aired that evening. My phone exploded with messages from distant relatives, accusations, insults, demands that I help her. I blocked every single one and turned off my phone. She showed up outside my workplace 2 days later. Security called me before letting her near the building. "There's a woman here claiming to be your mother. She's asking to see you." "Don't let her inside," I said calmly. "I'll come down." I took the elevator to the lobby. Through the glass doors I saw her. She looked destroyed. Hair tangled, clothes are dirty, face hollow. I pushed open the door and stepped outside. She rushed toward me, but I held up my hand. She stopped. "Myra, please," she sobbed. "I have no one. I have nothing. I'm staying in a shelter. I need help, just a little, just enough to get back on my feet." I looked at her for a long moment. Then I spoke, voice calm and clear. "You told me to fix my life before I called you. I did. I fixed it. I built something strong and stable and good, and it no longer includes you." Her face crumpled. "You can't mean that. I'm your mother." "You stopped being my mother the day you decided I was an embarrassment." "I was wrong," she whispered. "I was so wrong. Please, give me another chance." I felt nothing. No pity, no anger, just finality. "You had your chance. You threw it away. Now live with it." I turned and walked back into the building. She collapsed onto the sidewalk, sobbing so loudly people stopped to stare. I didn't look back, not once. Official documents arrived 2 weeks later. Legal confirmation that I had no involvement in any financial schemes, no connection to the fraud, no liability. Detective Armstrong called one last time. "You're clear, Ms. Dalton, completely. You handled yourself incredibly well through all of this." "Thank you." "For what it's worth," he added. "Cutting ties probably saved you from a lot of legal trouble. Family loyalty gets people in deep sometimes." When the call ended, I sat on my balcony and looked out over the city. The river glittered in the distance. The skyline glowed gold in the evening light. I'd just signed a lease on my dream apartment. Top floor corner unit, 2 bedrooms, office space, a view that made me feel like I was on top of the world. Everything I had, I earned. Every piece I felt, I built. Every moment of happiness came from my own hands, my own work, my own refusal to let her words define me. I pulled out my journal and wrote one sentence. She showed up at my door crying, and I realized I didn't need her apology. I only needed myself. My life is peaceful now. Soft morning light fills my apartment. I wake up without dread. I make coffee in my clean kitchen. I sit at my desk and write in my journal plans, not wounds. I got promoted again last month, Director of Planning Operations. My team respects me. My boss trusts me. I've built a career I'm proud of. I joined a book club. I made friends who don't know my history. People who see me for who I am now, not who I was when my mother's words were still carved into my skin. Some mornings, I stand by my window and watch the city wake up. I think about the girl I was a year ago, broken, alone, convinced she wasn't enough. I wish I could tell her she was always enough, that the voice in her head wasn't hers. That survival isn't weakness. That walking away from cruelty is strength. My mother lost everything because of her own choices. Her cruelty, her selfishness, her refusal to see me as anything more than a burden. I rose because I finally let go, because I stopped waiting for her to see my worth and started building it myself. She came to my door crying, desperate, destroyed, and I walked away, not because I'm heartless, but because I finally loved myself enough to choose peace over obligation. I built a life she never believed I could, and that's the only revenge I ever needed. What would you do in this situation? If your own mother showed up at your door after cutting you off, would you let her in or walk away? Drop a comment and let me know your thoughts. And if this story resonated with you, if you've ever had to choose yourself over toxic family, hit that like button and subscribe. You're not alone in this. More stories coming soon.